Why do some leaders end up assassinated? It's a question that cuts to the very heart of power and politics. A political assassination is more than just a murder. It is the targeted killing of a prominent public figure for ideological or political reasons. While statistically rare, these acts are designed to create maximum impact, to destabilize governments, to silence dissent, or to violently alter the course of history. The motives often revolve around a struggle for power, or they emerge from the fires of protest and deep-seated ideological divides. Sometimes the act is carried out by organized conspiracies, other times by lone actors. But in every case, the fallout reshapes nations. Let's run the timeline to understand how these moments have punctured our modern history. Our journey begins in 1865, just days after the end of the American Civil War. President Abraham Lincoln, having successfully preserved the Union, was focused on a peaceful reconstruction. But his vision was cut short by John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer who believed Lincoln's death could revive the Southern cause. The assassination at Ford's Theater didn't restart the war, but it created a leadership vacuum that profoundly complicated the difficult process of national healing. Fast forward to 1914. While not a head of state, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in Sarajevo was the spark that ignited a global powder keg. Carried out by Gavrilo Princip, a Serbian nationalist, the act triggered a complex web of military alliances, leading directly to the outbreak of World War I, a single event that led to the deaths of millions and redrew the map of Europe. In 1948, the world lost a beacon of peace. Mahatma Gandhi, the architect of India's nonviolent independence movement, was assassinated by a Hindu nationalist who opposed his vision of a secular, inclusive nation. Gandhi's death was a profound shock, a violent end for a man who championed peace, and it underscored the deep religious and political fissures that accompanied the birth of modern India and Pakistan. These early assassinations have punctured eras, each one a violent turning point. The Cold War era saw political assassinations become entangled in the global ideological struggle between East and West. In 1961, Patrice Lumumba, the first democratically elected Prime Minister of the Congo, was executed. His death, which official reports suggest involved Belgian and American complicity, removed a charismatic nationalist leader and plunged the nation into decades of instability. Then, in 1963, the assassination of U.S. President John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas, sent shockwaves across the world. The image of his motorcade became an indelible scar on the American consciousness, fueling decades of debate and conspiracy theories, and marking a loss of innocence for a generation. The circumstances surrounding the 1973 death of Chile's Salvador Allende during a military coup remain disputed, but it serves as a stark example of how political leadership can be violently overthrown. Later, in 1984, Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her own Sikh bodyguards in retaliation for her order to storm the Golden Temple, Sikhism's holiest shrine. Her death triggered horrific anti-Sikh riots, demonstrating how a political act can ignite widespread communal violence. The hope for peace was shattered in 1995 when Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated by a right-wing Israeli extremist who opposed the Oslo Accords with the Palestinians. Rabin was killed after speaking at a peace rally, a tragic irony that effectively derailed the peace process for years to come. Each shock sent ripples across the globe. As the world entered the 21st century, the nature of these attacks continued to evolve. In 2005, a massive car bomb in Beirut killed former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafik Hariri. The sheer scale of the explosion, which killed 21 others, highlighted the use of overwhelming force and led to the Cedar Revolution, forcing the withdrawal of Syrian troops from Lebanon. Just 2 years later, in 2007, former Pakistani Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto was killed in a combined shooting and suicide bomb attack while campaigning for office. Her assassination destabilized an already volatile nuclear-armed state. The trend has tragically continued into the current decade. In 2021, Haitian President Jovenel Moïse was assassinated in his private residence by a group of foreign mercenaries. The brazen attack plunged the Caribbean nation, already grappling with extreme poverty and gang violence, into a profound constitutional and humanitarian crisis, the effects of which are still unfolding. Then, in 2022, the world was stunned by the killing of Shinzo Abe, Japan's longest-serving former prime minister. He was shot with a homemade firearm while giving a campaign speech in broad daylight. The assassination shattered the sense of public safety in a nation with famously low rates of gun crime. Investigations into these and other cases show that motives vary widely. They can stem from direct political rivalry, where opponents seek to remove a leader to gain power. Often, the cause is extremist ideology, whether religious, nationalist, or political, that views the leader as an obstacle to be eliminated. And sometimes, the reasons are rooted in deeply personal vendettas, twisted by political grievances. The techniques have evolved with technology. The single-shot pistol used against Lincoln has given way to high-powered rifles, sophisticated explosives, and even improvised weapons, as seen in the case of Shinzo Abe. Assassins have operated as lone wolves and as part of complex international networks. In response, the field of protective security has become a massive industry, employing advanced intelligence, surveillance, and countermeasures to protect public figures. Yet vulnerabilities remain. Ultimately, assassinations don't just remove a person, they create a vacuum. They can topple governments, leaving behind chaos and power struggles. They can spark civil unrest or even full-blown war. Or they can fundamentally rewrite policy, derailing peace processes or hardening a nation's political stance. In some cases, strong institutions hold and ensure a peaceful transition of power. In others, the assassination is the first domino to fall in a long and painful collapse. By 2025, high-profile killings remain a rare but profoundly consequential feature of our global landscape. Each event serves as a grim reminder that political stability is fragile and can turn lethal overnight. By studying these moments, we don't just learn about the past. We gain a deeper understanding of the forces that continue to shape our present. Stay curious, stay informed, and remember, history often turns on a single, violent moment.